President Obama jolted Republicans when he bypassed them with a recess appointment to the new Consumer Protection Agency. Joining us to assess the consequences of that move is Brian Gardner, Senior Vice President of Washington Research at KBW. Welcome, Brian. Now, on the recent CFPB appointment of Richard Cordray, was this a smart move for Obama, especially given the battles that lie ahead with Republicans?
I think it was. I think we know that we're going into a year of gridlock anyway, so this, I think the downside is somewhat limited. And the political benefits, I think, are quite high for the administration. It rallies the base. It infuriates Republicans. So I think it accomplishes several things that the administration politically wants to accomplish. So I think it's a big win for the administration.
So we'll play to the progressives. But in the end, how is this going to be solved? Do you think it'll wind up in the Supreme Court?
There will be probably at least two legal challenges. There are two legal issues as I see them. One is the constitutional issue. This was a recess appointment. Technically, the Senate is not in recess. They're meeting in pro forma session. And so I think there will be a challenge on the constitutional validity of this appointment. My gut tells me that the administration will prevail, that the courts will stay out of it, decide it's a political matter for the executive and the legislative branches to decide amongst themselves and let the big guys fight it out. The second issue is a legal issue within Dodd-Frank, and this is a little bit more technical. Some of the powers of the CFPB vest when a director is confirmed by the Senate. This director has not been confirmed by the Senate. He was recess appointed. So, does the director and the agency have all the powers granted to it under Dodd-Frank, or are they missing something? And I think for some of the non-bank parts of the financial world, I think there's going to be a lawsuit there. I think that issue probably has a better chance of passing. But so there'll be two legal challenges to the involving the recess appointment of Richard Cordray.
Putting the Dodd-Frank one aside, then, if, as you predict, the president prevails, do you think it winds up enhancing the presidential powers over the long term?
It certainly does. It really calls into question what the Senate's tools are to block recess appointments. This in the long run, this is a significant power grab by the administration, by the executive branch. But I think the courts will argue back that, look, the legislative branch does have some remedies at its disposal. It can pass legislation to cut off funding, to change the budget, to cut off pay for the director. That they don't have to go to the courts. So kind of going to your original question, whether it's a positive for the administration, for the executive branch, it's another big win.
And it's a defined move by Obama, but how is this going to play out in Obama's campaign? How the Republicans play this up?
It actually plays to both sides. It's a positive for the White House and the administration because it will play very, very well with progressives. It already is. They've been calling for a recess appointment for months. They finally got what they wanted. They love this creation of the new agency. This rallies the base. At the same time, the Republican narrative, campaign narrative, is that the Obama administration is one of power grabbing and concentration of power, and this plays into their narrative quite well. So this actually will gin up the Republican base. And I think that's what this election is going to be all about. It's who can excite their base more. I think moderate voters, swing voters, are going to be turned off at the end, and this is going to be a little bit like the '04 election. Who can get their base the most excited and get them out to the polls? All
right, and lastly, Brian, let's move on to the issue of extending the payroll tax cuts. Have there been any behind-the-scenes talks that you're aware of over the break that might help avoid another stalemate like the one we saw at the end of last year?
There have been discussions, but nothing that is resulting in any breakthroughs. I think when the 2-month extension gets near its expiration, we'll go through something similar to what we went through a few weeks ago. My guess is it won't be as dramatic. I think Republicans are still licking their wounds from what many in the party see as a political loss, standing on principle, but really not having a great political leg to stand on. So we get into January and February, we'll go through that drama again, but it probably won't be as tense as it was in December.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Our thanks to Brian Gardner, Senior Vice President of Washington Research at KBW. I'm Fred Katayama, and this is Reuters.